Hey guys, we did a super cool interview with our friend Matt Quinn. He's the lead singer, frontman of Mount Joy. They're an awesome band. If you don't know them, check them out. Enjoy.
We did a couple tours, I think, with RKS, and it was awesome. They had like kind of broken through around that time. I don't know, when was that, like 20?
So I was like 18. So it's,
okay,
2018.
20. Okay,
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and they had just like the energy at their shows electric, and then for us it was like, there are like different types of opening slots you can get. Like we've had ones where it's like older audiences, more of like the NPR vibe, and you're just you're just up there doing a TED talk.
Yeah.
And like you finish and there's like political applause.
Yeah.
And and then we got that tour and it was like, people who were turning up, like they were there to party. And it is like night and day. I mean, it was huge for our career too, because I think ultimately that's what we want to do. We want to, bring a party to your town and also obviously like play music and cater to that. But I think it makes the music better when people have asked us like, would you rather like someone super paying attention, like locked in? It's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah.
You out ever when someone's just like very intently like watching you?
I mean, as if I can tell that they're like having a moment and it's emotional and there's some sort of energy to it, then that wouldn't freak me out. But yeah, when it's just someone who's like full disclosure, last night, I mean, we're jumping right in.
Yeah.
Like the front section of the bowl had some people who I don't think like knew what Mountjoy was. And yeah, like it looked like I was hurting them.
Did you see there was a guy like off to your left going absolutely...
He was saving. He was in an Eagles jersey. Do you know? Is that your time? Or no?
No. That's actually, I think, our buddy Gavin.
Oh, Gavin.
Gavin was there
he was at one of the... He bought like a $300 ticket or something, and he was at one of those tables, and he had an Eagles jersey.
Shout out
going nuts.
And he was going nuts. He was like the only one standing, actually.
Dude,
he works here, yeah.
Deeply, Gavin, thank you.
That's so... No, but like back... Maybe, I don't know if you would have been able to see him, but there was like an old guy that it was just like... people don't dance like they did at like shows back in the day, but that's what it felt like. It was very...
Tell him...
he was like spinning.
Tell him who was at your table.
I told him when I was walking in, I was with Creed Bratton. He was telling me then that he did a music video for you guys and stuff, and it's been like...
Dude, he's like become a friend. He is the man, like truly. And like he has caused me to like... I mean, I love The Office anyways, but I've gone back and like watched it as like a friend of Creed, and like what a funny guy, super talented. They could do like a whole spin-off of that show just as like him as the main character.
Who's your worm guy? You're paying way too much for worm. That's one of my favorite. I have a question for you that kind of in the context of like set structure and stuff. Like, I know you put out a statement like a year or so ago, maybe talking about how you kind of want to get more like innovative with the way you do your sets and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm curious how you feel like that's evolved like since then, or kind of what's your approach to that? And it feels like it's probably harder to have like flexibility within like the rules that venues have now these days and stuff, right?
Dude, that's a great question. And the end of your question is the biggest challenge, I think, is just that like, we're not like a jam band in the true sense of the genre, but we like to jam. We have great players. Like part of it is like we've just sort of kind of throw ourselves together and have just been playing together for a while, and it's sort of like a sports analogy. It's like, we've got Jackie on the keys, who's like your top end wide receiver one, and it's like you can't just run the ball. Like, we gotta let her jam. We gotta she's one of the best piano players on the planet, so like she's gotta play lots of jams. So it's like, okay, well, we'll create jams, and so you slowly become this, and Sam too on guitar, and Michael on bass. And Satiri, everyone's amazing players. So it's like we can't just like play, talent show folk songs, stop, play the next one. We've got to jam to be the best version of ourselves. So, but like trying to find that balance, it really led us to this different set structure where we were like, I love jam bands. I love grew up listening to the Grateful Dead, and you go to those shows and they have the 2-set format where they take a break and come back out. And for me also, just like becoming a slightly washed man, like it's nice to like, all right, like I'm gonna lock in for an hour here, and then I'm gonna go get my beers, go to the bathroom, come back. Like it kind of breaks up. I mean, if you think about it, sports, Like everything else does that.
Yeah.
With the exception really of soccer, I guess. But they have a halftime.
They still have halftime. I feel like soccer is a better because they keep going for the whole half.
That's true. It's pretty much what we do, actually.
Yeah.
Bad example. But yeah, every sport, right? So and sometimes more. I was thinking quarters, like with basketball. That in periods, like sometimes they do it even more, right? But like, yeah, and it I guess for us, it just it allows you to approach things a little differently. Like you can say, like, all right, like sometimes we'll approach it as like the first set is like sort of like we're opening for ourselves. Like if Mountjoy was opening for Mountjoy. Maybe we do some more.
Sounds like a great night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that. But yeah, we like, just, I don't know. It lets you be a little more creative than I think when for example, like you said, last night, there's a curfew at, it was like 10:15 or something. And we had an amazing opener, local natives. But then it's like, we have an hour and 45 minutes. So if like, we could do a break, but we're just, at that point, we're missing out on the amount of music we can play. So you're right. Like sometimes, especially outdoor stuff in the summer, you'll be like near a house. Like we were in Seattle, and there were like sound complaints that could make us turn it down. I felt like I was at like a...
They were like calling mid-show?
I guess, yeah.
Someone's like yelling over the fence, like, keep it down over there.
Hey, assholes, I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, you run into all kinds of stuff.
That's like kind of strange with the Greek theater. Is like you drive into like a neighborhood and that one's like in there.
Particularly weird. Yeah.
I saw Mac DeMarco there a couple weeks ago, and it was like there were like local kids that were like in the trees up like watching it, and it got dark so you couldn't see them down there. And he goes like, "Oh, hello, tree people," and they all started flashing their lights and stuff. So like we knew they were up there, and it was kind of crazy. But it was like these neighbors are just have to listen to whatever band is coming to town that week.
That's kind of sick, actually.
Yeah.
I love that. Like we played in I think it was Boise on this run, and it was like behind it was like a mountainside, and people just like sitting on the hill with blankets and stuff, like pretty far in the distance, but you can just see people sitting up there. That makes you feel like you're like, damn. I don't know. I feel like there's like that's the energy you want. People are like, I don't care how far away I am. I'm just down to pull up. I like that.
That's very cool. I feel like, am I tripping, or is it mostly outdoor venues you guys are doing?
We were just talking about that. Yeah, we just did a month-long tour that ended yesterday, and I think we played inside once. So
wow, because that like the Hollywood Bowl is capacity-wise like the same as like crypto.
Yeah, I think it's 18,000 people,
which is crazy. Congratulations, that's so cool,
thank you, man.
Is that the biggest show you've done?
Honestly. I mean, in full disclosure, we did not sell it out. So there's
kind
that.
Of sorry to bring that up.
Yeah.
Can we do like a... Yeah. I'm just not going to sit up here and be like, yeah, I'm going to see 18,000. Yeah. No. I think it's up there, but I think I think so far our biggest show is, I think we did like around 14,000 people at the Merriweather in around DC.
Yeah.
Is there like a different vibe when it's inside? Like, is it harder to capture that same, audience?
I think there's like real pros and cons that like, not to be the boring middle of this argument guy, but like, I think that inside, like as you become a bigger band, you get to spend more on production and stuff. And production just goes way harder inside. You're like, you wouldn't do like laser tag outside. You know what I mean? It's like, lights just go way harder. It's a contained environment, so I think some people would say it sounds better, just because you're not, sometimes I guess if you're like super far away. For example, at the bowl, like in the back of the bowl, I think because of neighbors and stuff and rich ones, like it's like a 70 dB limit at the back. So meaning like, which is
they
like...
got a guy back there like tracking it?
I guess.
I'm picturing it's like a baseball.
Yeah.
But like an old-timey like... whatever it's called, like meter.
Yeah.
Like, we got to turn it down back here.
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, and I at that point, like, I mean, not to nerd out on DB stuff, but like your typical rock show sits around 100, and if it's loud, like a little more than that. If it's too loud, like 110 stuff is like painful. But like 70, it's like an exponential scale. So like 70 is like, I don't know, like probably how loud it is in the smoothie place I just was. it's not loud.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
Not
hard.
a loud smoothie place for people.
Yeah.
Depends on how much they're blending.
Yeah, it's a beautiful environment for your ears, that smoothie place. But yeah, I think it just makes it so like if you're inside, it's this. There's generally not going to be a dB limit because you don't have to worry about sound getting out of the venue and stuff. So I think like a true audiophile, maybe you'd want to be inside in a nice like treated room, but the vibes in the summertime outside are pretty undefeated.
Yeah.
Do you guys have to deal with like weather and stuff though when it's outside? Have you ever had like a big rainstorm or something come through?
Yeah, we had a couple, but again, like I think that if it happens in the right way, it actually enhances the show. Like people, it becomes this thing. Like like talking about the 2-set thing. We were in Colorado and then Alaska as well. 2 of our best shows of the entire tour, hands down. And it was because it started raining a little bit, and we were like, hey, like. I can curse, right?
Yeah.
I'm always like, hey, fuck the 2.
Whoa, not that one. Though.
I'm like, hey, fuck the 2-set thing. Like, we're just gonna keep going. I'm not gonna leave you guys standing out here in the rain for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you just get this like, which is the whole point, I think, of music. Truly, like the magic is when it's like, oh, like they're there to. And what makes sports so great, right, is like it just immediately has that. It's like they're there to cheer you on.
Yeah.
As much as they're there to have fun and like. Almost the better thing about music than sports is that like there's not gonna be an L as long as you do that.
Yeah.
We're all gonna win. If you guys like cheer us on and give us that energy, then we're gonna put on a great show and you're gonna have fun, and it just starts sort of rolling downhill. And the rain creates that, right? Where it's like, hey, like we're not letting you guys stand out here in the rain. They're like, oh, these, so it's just sort of
we're all in this together.
exactly.
Yeah, it like builds community by
It's like that like Goo Goo Dolls set where it's like pouring rain.
Yes.
You play-
Yeah. That's that video.
I've always wondered this. How do they like? There's so much electronic stuff back there. How did that work? Like, can you play in the rain without, or is there like a fear that someone's gonna get like electrocuted?
I would not want to be holding an electric guitar during that.
It crosses your mind. I mean, like I think things are supposed to be grounded so that doesn't happen. Occasionally, like things can happen where you like. I've gotten actually electrocuted by a microphone in Europe because there's all sorts of crazy. This is too boring for the pod, honestly, but there's like the electricity there is obviously a different voltage coming out of the wall.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to bring all sorts of gear to transform to like American guitar pedals and stuff like that.
I didn't even think about that. Like when you go on a trip to Europe, like I can't even plug my iPhone in, let alone like plug in like an entire set.
It is
That's
a nightmare.
crazy.
It is a nightmare. It's like and then somehow like we can convert like the iPhones with like a tiny little piece of plastic, but over there we end up carrying around these like they look like suitcases, and you like plug the plug into that, and like somehow Einstein happens in between, and like out the other end your pedals work. But we like we were just I don't know bootstrapping it out there very early on. And it was Jenny Jenkins, I'll never forget. And I like walked to the mic and I was like, we don't. Just like
Your hair is like standing straight up.
I've never been shocked like that in my life. I ended up having to have like surgery on the inside.
Oh, shit.
On the side of my mouth, yeah, because it like zapped. It was a whole thing. I walked around Europe like this. Like I had a Xenium for it was insane.
It's like that scene in Almost Famous where he like, you ever seen that?
No.
Will doesn't like movies, but
I do. I just haven't seen a lot of them.
he like grabs
do
the
that-
microphone and it shocks him, and he
Okay.
like can't. He's a guitarist, so he like can't play with his hand.
Great movie.
And
That'd be worse. Yeah.
yeah.
The hand would be worse for sure.
Oh yeah. Okay, but to answer your question, this is what you get with someone who's been touring for a month. Like I'm like, oh, the question.
I actually forget what it was.
I don't know.
Rain on your equipment.
yeah.
I think if it's like fully windy and rainy, wind is like the problem. It's like hanging like a video wall. I think there's usually like in a lot of those stages, because there have been like horrible accidents with the stages. Like a lot of those stages are like they collapse down into a truck.
Oh my God.
And so they're just like like your local carnival or whatever Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
It's like that stuff so terrifying to think that thing arrived like folded up.
Yeah.
Just like a Ferris wheel, and now we're all 80 feet in the air. But yeah, so those things are rated for like a certain amount of wind, and like I think that's the real thing. Is like those things
Yeah.
will fold at a certain level.
That would be terrifying.
Yeah,
band folding in.
It's happening.
Jesus Christ.
I was at Mount Joy last night. They got like packed up into their stage. They all folded back into the truck.
Yeah, they suitcased us out of there. Dude. Yeah, the rich people in the front were not digging it.
All right, we'll see you guys later.
Yeah,
And then
they
the
have like a
stage just,
switch they can
collapsed.
hit.
There
The
was
Hollywood
some,
elite had enough.
There was some Ed Sheeran story. We were saying they got the stage there, and I guess usually whatever it's standing on, they didn't know that the field they were playing on had like more give.
Oh no!
And so like it wouldn't have been. They weren't positive if it was gonna like fall down, and so like 5 minutes before the show they had to cancel it.
Jesus.
Yeah, horrible.
Yeah.
I have a question about, you mentioned Jenny Jenkins. Great song. We're big here at coming up with fun names.
Yeah.
Is that a real name of someone? Because that's a fun name.
Yeah. So I didn't come up with it. I think I've met a couple people like that's like, you know, like I wrote a song Julia, and like the number of people that are like, you know, so pumped because their name is Julia. I'm like, oh, I never intended it that way. It's just what my ex-girlfriend's name was. So. But shout out my ex-girlfriend.
Hey, a little You're So Vain in the middle of that last night.
You know, I like she's a good person, but I do intentionally at this point, it's been many years, but I intentionally like try to put in the medley like something that would potentially work with that story. So
I was talking to Will about, because that's like my favorite song of yours, and I was like, I always thought that was a hilarious story that is like told in the song. Is that a real thing that happened to you, or
sort of like, it's like, I think you know, I told the story last night, but like songwriting for me at least is like I very rarely have the experience where I like sit down and I'm like, and 10 minutes later it's like I deliver this thing. It usually takes me like months. So like I'll write like a piece of something that I really like, and I had this sort of like opening scene of like being super stoned in a restaurant in my mind, and then I didn't know like how to start it or like what the sort of hook was until I was living here in LA, and I like got super stoned, and I walked to the 7-Eleven that was like right at the corner of my street, and I was not in like a great place in my life, but which is probably more of it than the weed, but I like picked up Sour Patch, like just like this most embarrassing like
What's the rest of the what's the order?
Man. I mean, I was with my brother too, who's like such a candy guy, and like we would just like, you know, like you're just standing in the candy aisle for like an amount of time that's so embarrassing. You're like, do I want the Mambas?
Like,
so
you're so far in, you're considering combos.
Yeah, you're like, you're like, whoa. Can't do chocolate with that. You're like, there's so much paper. I don't remember, man, but I was big. We were big into like Sour Patch, you know, still am. But like, you know, just had this like, and all the packaging to that just like makes you look like you're 6 years old. Like, it's like all yellow, and you know, and like that particular 7-Eleven, like there was like a line. And like a nice, like cute lady, like bringing people up, and I was just like, "Damn, I'm like not going to be able to do this." I was like, "I don't think
too much.
I'm not going to be able to like fold this stuff out." Like,
you go and like hang each thing up individually. And walk out.
And I just got the idea. That's where I got the idea, which like sort of like the song unfurled from there. I got the idea of like just someone like trying to order something stoned at a restaurant, like the waitress is hot or something like that, and he's like, I'll do the
That's funny.
and she just sort of, you know, was like, no, you won't.
The 7-Eleven down the street from our house in college like was the late night snack place, but it was also the like coffee before class place. So they would like see you the night before, like in the candy aisle, like having just like a crisis. There were multiple times where I just gave up and like went home, and then the next morning being like, I'll just do a black coffee. And they're like, you're an insane person. Like, I saw you in here last night, like not able to make this decision.
And there needs to be like I'm from Philadelphia, so Wawa.
Yep.
Like,
Lancaster.
Yeah. Hell yeah. But like,
Carlos Lancaster.
dude, I do I should say I do actually. My mom's side of the family's from Lancaster.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And one of my best friends is there. It's kind of blown up. This could go a really boring micro-locational.
Yeah. Have you been in the quilt factory?
Dude, no, but I will say it has like in our lifetime, it's become a much cooler place. But that being said, they have the touchscreens at Wawa.
Yep.
And like as a stoner, there's nothing better than like just avoiding human interaction. At least for me, I'm not not a person that's very good at that. So like I'll do the like what is it, I love you man or whatever, or like someone just last night, like someone was like complimenting us backstage, and I just smoked a joint afterwards, like thank God I don't have to like talk to anyone else, and they were like, you did such a good job. I was like, you did a great,
You did a better job.
thanks man. Like just completely blow it. Like that's kind of who I become. But
I feel like the biggest problem with the touchscreens when you're high, or like Postmates when you're high, is like it sounds like you've created the perfect sandwich.
Yeah.
And then it like gets to your door and you're like, this doesn't make any sense.
yeah, I ordered tilapia at midnight.
Why is there peanut butter and mayonnaise on this?
Yeah.
That's very funny. Wait, Jenny Jenkins.
Oh,
sorry, no. We're like the two most ADHD interviewers.
Dude,
like,
you just added the third to
Yeah.
Three Stooges here. I honestly, like, I'll be scrolling and I'll see something about ADHD and I'll be like, I have that.
Yeah, I get like catered ads.
Literally.
I'm like, did they just know this based on how quickly I like move between my apps?
They're
Like,
just, it's so perfect. It's like, how do you get an ADHD person to like stop on your ad? It's like, just tell them that they have it. All right, Jenny Jenkins.
it's like an 80. It's like an Adderall ad with like Subway Surfers below it.
Damn, they got me so good. Here I was, thought I was learning about my disease. No, shit. All right, Jenny Jenkins.
Is there someone named that?
No, but there is. But there's a song I grew up with. My dad was a big Grateful Dead guy, and like all the iterations of it. And Jerry Garcia and this incredible mandolin player David Grisman did a song, like a tape actually, of it's called like Folk Songs Not Just for Kids, but it's incredible playing, and like it's Jerry Garcia, and one of the folk songs is called Jenny Jenkins, and it's like I mean, maybe some people listening to this will have heard it, but it's like, it's just this kind of kid's song, but it's like, will you wear yellow, my dear, oh my dear, will you wear yellow, Jenny Jenkins? No, I won't wear yellow. Fellow. Never get a fellow. I'll buy you a roly-poly sticky W.
It does sound familiar.
Roly Poly? Isn't that another?
Exactly. Well, I don't know if I got that from that, but that's in there as well.
Okay.
Like, I just was looking for a pseudonym, and like, I've always loved that song, and it fit, so I was like, boom.
It's a great name. Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I have a question about like you're talking like folk music, protest music. I think that shit is very cool. I've always been a big fan of like Woody Guthrie and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious. I mean, I feel like you have some songs that definitely fall into that category. I feel like Sheep kind of gives me those vibes. And then you put out a song during the 2020 election cycle that was like very overtly political. I'm curious if that's something that you just kind of comes up in your creative process, or it's something that you feel like a burden as an artist to kind of be outspoken about things like that.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. I think, like Sheep was just this thing where it was like, it was the 2016 election like cycle was happening, and there was like obviously a huge shift, like, love or hate Trump. There was just this moment that was like, wait, people are gonna like, there was never a possibility of having a president like that, for a number of reasons, and I think that like in that moment it was just like, whoa. And I was just reacting to a number of things that were happening, not just with Trump, but there was like the Freddie Gray incident in Baltimore, the song references, and it just felt like I was a person that for the last, like, at that time, like 10 years or so, wasn't really like a public facing songwriter, but I would just kind of like write songs, and a lot of the people you just named are my heroes, and a lot of like people I look up to, they were always just sort of channeling what was happening, and I felt like that was really all I was trying to do, was just trying to like write a song that was like, hey, something's happening here, which is a lyric of a protest song in and of itself, right? Like, and I think then, like, once you become this thing that's like really public facing, it's like there's all this like, I guess, questions, or like, like, I guess expectation that like, oh, like this guy, he's a liberal, he's gonna write like Kamala's fight song, and it's sort of like, no, it doesn't really work like that for me. Like I would if that like came to me, or if that's what it was. It's not that I like don't want to make songs that fit into like the current political zeitgeist, but like I just don't feel the same inspiration maybe right now, but maybe tomorrow something will happen that will like deeply strike me in a way that like gets to me in my guitar. You know, some things of course are striking today, but like they don't like go right to a song. And then, you know, like in 2020 it was the same deal where it was like it was just this moment where it was like pandemic and everything like that, and I was just like, honestly, like that stuff affected us so deeply. Like we make our money going out and playing shows, and to have like the president of the United States, like seemingly, from my opinion, like purposely bombing the handling of a global pandemic that is like directly affecting my ability to do my job. I was like literally just sitting around, walking around, just saying to myself like, oh God, we need a new president. Like this guy's blowing it. And then you make that song, right? It's like, it's really not that deep. And then I think it's like, I think going forward, it's like, will that happen again? I don't know. Like, time will tell, but I know there are bands that are and artists that are like, and I respect it, that are like super, like they can just look at this camera and be like, I'm going to write a camera about this. I don't even know what kind of camera this is, but Magnus REX 5000, dude.
Yeah, we got the 5000s.
Holy shit! Yeah, I am going to write a song about
see
the
the
Magnus.
pores on your on these things. Yeah.
To take it out of the serious realm, but yeah, and I've never really been good at that, to be honest. Like I it has to like come naturally. So the very long answer is like maybe I'll make more songs like that, but time will tell, kind of thing. I think.
What was like the pandemic like for someone who's in a band and like that's what you do? Like, how do you guys spend your time when you just can't tour?
Well, I mean, honestly, for us too, it was sort of a double whammy because we had like put so much effort. You know, music is this thing, and I've heard like a bunch of people talk about this, and it's so true. Like the hardest thing to do in as a touring band or artist is the getting the first like 200 to 500 people to the show. It's like once you get to that level, things start to roll downhill a little bit. It's like if you can go to any city in America and sell 200 tickets, like you're on your way. It doesn't feel that way, but you're on your way because, you know, it's just like you've got this groundswell happening, and if you just keep feeding the fire, it's going to go. Like you've got the spark. I think the fire is a good analogy. It's just like you just got to feed the fire, but you're not making any money. Like you are losing money. You're a business that, like a lot of businesses, like you're actively losing money in the beginning, but it's not just actively losing money. You're getting in a van and driving 6 hours, 7 hours a day, doing all this stuff. And like, it's physically painful and laborious. So we had just done all of that, and we were just about to get the cake. Yeah. Like they were like, yeah. Oh, it's coming next year in 2020. Mount Joy is finally
going to... 2020 is going to be the best year ever.
Yeah. Like, but like literally, like we had just gotten off this, we had done this, what we had thought would be one of our last like big opening tours. There's part of you got to go out on these opening tours. You get your ass handed to you money-wise, but you get in front of a bunch of people. And we'd done one with the Lumineers, who were great, and we had done basketball arenas. You know, our last show, funny enough, we were in the Milwaukee Bucks Fiserv Forum, I think is what it's called, just an insane name for an arena. They're all like the most insane named things, like cryptocurrency.com.
That's the worst one. And I can't believe that still exists.
Unbelievable. It's actively the worst name of anything I've ever heard in my life.
Like I would chip in to change it.
Dude, unbelievable. What an embarrassment. Anyways, we were at the Fiserv Forum.ie or whatever.
That's the dream for an artist, too.
Yeah.
The Fiserv Forum.
Yeah. You want to be downloading. Yeah, you want to be whatever.
My brother used to work for Fiserv, actually.
Great company.
In Milwaukee, yeah.
I'll wear it across the chest for the right amount of money. But we were there, and like Rudy Gobert had just like the night before.
Oh, he started COVID, right? He fucked up the mic.
He was like, I don't have COVID, which is like now that everyone's okay, people died. I like now that it's a little bit removed, I will say hopefully no one died from that particular moment, but like that was a ridiculous moment. I'll say. I was gonna say funny. It is kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie.
I would agree. Yeah.
Classic. Like your friend like is like thinks he's like knows something, but like he's obviously wrong. You know what I mean? He's just touching everyone's things, and the next day he's like, "My bad. I did in fact have COVID."
They hand you all your equipment to go play, and they're like, "And this is the microphone that Rudy was playing with." You're like, okay.
Yeah. Imagine being one of those reporters. You're like, he touched my phone. Like, what do I do? Not to mention, we all thought at the time. And it was true, I guess. You know, early on, COVID was really taking people out. So I think not to get into a COVID thing. For us, it was like that tour got shut down right there. Like they literally closed NBA arenas because he tested positive, and it was like we were in the away locker room of the Bucks, and they were like, "Go home," and that was the end of it for us. So it was like we were about to end that tour. I think we had one more show on that tour, and for us, we're about to go do headline stuff that was already planned. So like we were about to go out and do our thing, and we had put in all this time. So there's so many stories like that for artists where it's like, you know, we had laid out the runway, and only to find out that like, oh yeah, beautiful airport you guys built, but like none of the planes work anymore, so we're not doing flying stuff. So it was tough, you know. We I mean, I could go on and on, but I think ultimately the, you know, pun intended, silver lining for us was that like we were on a certain trajectory, but then kind of put our heads together, and like we were one of the only bands that like really was like, because we had no choice, like figured out a way to do the social distancing stuff first. We did like the pod shows, we did drive-ins that were at first terrible, and then they started figuring those out, and we were like really in the vanguard of like, hey, you know, after a certain amount of time, we're like, hey, if this is the new normal, like we gotta fly. We just built this whole airport, like we gotta fly whatever one wing plane it is, but like and it really worked for us because, you know, like for you guys, it'd be like if and there's a lot of podcasts, right? It'd be like if like most of the podcasts were like, no, we're chilling this year, because everyone was kind of like, everyone's kind of like, well, we'll come back when it's over, but it just wasn't ending. So for like a full year, it was like us and like 6 other bands in the entire music industry, and we were like, we went from like nothing to Coldplay. You know, not that we became as big as Coldplay, but in terms of like market share, it was like just us out there. And I think that really like was the turning point for us of like, you know, notoriety and stuff.
So you really capitalized on the pandemic.
Yes. You hear that, Fiserv?
We're gonna cut that down to just that part. I want to ask about so you have 3 albums out right now. I feel like they're all, well, you talk about all the different musicians in your band that are obviously really talented, and I feel like, I know it started small, kind of, and then do you feel like bringing on these other musicians kind of helped define the music? Because I feel like your second album has a lot more piano than the first one and stuff like that. So I'm curious, like, do you look at all 3 of them as like totally separate eras of the band? And yeah, tell me what's your take on
Totally. I actually was thinking about that this morning. There was like, you know, I don't know. It's like, because now like the shows, we have one more little run, like a 3-week run coming up in like 2 weeks, and then it's fully like go finish the album mode, which is like a totally different mind space for me. And I was thinking about how like, you know, in each album, you're just such a different person. Like, you know, like if you like look at yourself 3 years ago, and then just like in 3-year periods, it's sort of like, I mean, it's into your question about politics and stuff. It's like, it's going to pick up all these different things about what's going on in the world, what's going on with you, what's going on in your life. And same thing with the band. It's like we're starting out, it's Sam and I, you know, just hating our jobs, like putting songs together, like very desperate to like, you know, really my like final chance or something to like make something happen in music. And maybe that pressure makes the diamonds of a certain record, which is the first record. And then the second record is like, yeah, we get Jackie, we get these different people on board who are like so incredible. But the challenge was like, we've been touring so hard. We had like 6 weeks to make that record. I mean, you know, we had ideas and stuff that had come into it, but we basically just super time crunch, make a record. Third album, it's like, whoa, all of a sudden we have all this time, which is the exact opposite of the time before. It's a pandemic. We are able to sit together, and also like, you know, we're like having a different experience. We're going to Joshua Tree, tripping acid, like making music in that environment. And then, you know, I was just thinking like this next one is like, what's it going to be like? You know, what's like the next challenge? So I think like, you know, and I honestly like it sort of remains to be seen. We have about like half of an album done that really pumped on, but it does leave this opportunity like the second half could take a left turn. It could be like a different chapter. It could be the same as the last half, or so genuinely like that's part of the exciting part I think of doing it is like, you know, obviously you hope you don't choose wrong, you hope you choose something that people like, but we do have like an amazing band, and like, you know, as like the songwriter, I feel like this responsibility to them, because like they're gonna knock it out of the park. I know that. It's just like I just got to bring good songs to these people. It's like, you know, like I said, I think the football analogy is good. It's like I'm Jalen Hurts in this situation. It's like, if we don't have a good year, it's going to look real bad for me. Like, we got great wide receivers, great offensive line, great running backs.
That'd be Sirianni.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, and if we just get them in the right positions, then it'll be really great.
Do you like the songwriting process or like the touring process more? Because it's like, it feels like they're completely different. Like, is it more fun to sit down and make an album, or is it more fun like once it's complete and you can go show it to people?
I think like there's genuinely, for me, but this is, like, this is my like torture. Like, I think about songwriting all the time, no matter what, even when we're playing shows. I think like for me, like I said, I'm not like instantly coming up with songs. So I have thousands of voice memos. Like, I'll get in the bus afterwards and like someone will say something interesting to me and I'll be like, someone said something interesting.
Like a walkie-talkie.
Because I have ADHD, like I will forget it instantly. So I'll just be like, that's a really interesting thought about the moon. Saved. Like, never come back to it. But like, I'm always thinking about it. So therefore, I think I get more out of like when you finish a song and you like know that you landed that like really long arcing plane ride, so to speak. Like, that's probably the best feeling for me. But we've just been so fortunate. Like, we played so many big shows lately. It feels like that those also feel really, really good. Like when you really nail it. And yeah, I think it's both. But for me, I would say songwriting for sure.
Nice. That's very cool. What at least based on the first half of the album you're working on, what are you thinking stylistically?
You're trying to get some insight.
Yeah, I'm trying to get some breaking news so this podcast goes viral.
Yeah. All right, let me take my shirt off. I think it's like, Highway Queen was sort of like the start of the record, just because that song sort of popped out like while we were on a tour before we went and started it. So I think there's like some extensions of that, but then, like someone asked we have these like sort of Q&A VIP things, and someone asked like this pretty much this exact question, and I was like, they're like, why don't you
Couldn't
make
have been this quite as good?
Yeah, it was a little bit, it was a little bit worse, what was it? Let's just say this: there was no Magnus 5000.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think they were like, why wouldn't you just like make like Highway Queens? They really love Highway Queen. They're like, why wouldn't you just make like the rest of an album like that? And it's something we've thought about, and it's like, well, one, it's like, I just don't think that would be very interesting. Like, my goal has never been to like be the biggest possible band by way of like, in this sort of commercial sense. Like, I genuinely just want to make things that feel like real and authentic and sort of honest to me. Like, could I go out and make like 9 more Highway Queens, and would that probably be the most successful version of Mount Joy commercially and like Billboard charting and everything? Like, probably. Like, look what's happening right now. Zach and Noah and like all these people are like just absolutely, and they're doing their own authentic and honest thing. That's not what I'm saying. But for me, it's like, that's not necessarily where like that's not necessarily what I listen to and what I grew up on and whatever. So I think it's about finding that balance. I think we're doing that. Like, for example, I think our next song is like there's plenty of sort of folk and stuff like that on there, but I think our next song was like, we played in Chicago on New Year's and we did like a 4-night run. It was amazing. We're constantly trying to figure out like which songs to do. And then on like at midnight, we were like, damn, it's gonna be midnight, we're gonna be playing. Like, what Mount Joy song do you play at midnight? Like, respectfully to Mount Joy, it's like, you got to get people's butts moving. Like, 2024, like, confetti's going to be dropping. And I felt like we didn't have the song. And that felt like sort of like such a, dang, like, I blew it. Like, all this time to not have, like, a celebrate good times type song. And so that was one of the challenges. And, like I said, some of these things take me months. So it's like, I finished that up and I was like, I know we're, like, kind of making a folk record, but we're putting this song in there, so now
we're gonna hit New Year's out of the park.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, really, like that. So, and I'm really
like really about New Year's.
Yeah. It's just very on the nose, like Chicago. It is midnight.
We're counting down.
Yeah. Damn. Wait. Hold on. My phone out.
Perfect.
But yeah, and I'm really excited about that song. And I know this is like just a Yap University answer, but like
podcast.
Yeah. But I do feel like then what happens is you have this dance song and you're like, well, it'd be super weird to have like a super folky contemporary folk album that just like what the hell is this song doing in there? It's like it got dropped in back. So I want to contextualize that song now. And it's like you kind of build around that. And, you know, at the end of the day, like we've made enough songs where it's like there is a such thing as a Mount Joy song. And like that's what I'm always trying to make. Like no matter what, it's just like something that people be like, oh yeah. And like the most possible, to me, the best possible song would be the most like, oh, dang, that sounds like Mount Joy.
Yeah.
Boom, you know. So that's probably a really stupid answer to your question, but
No, I think that's interesting. Yeah. Is the song you're alluding to one that you played last night?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good tune.
Hell yeah. Well, which you're recording on New Year's Eve. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's it was all about New Year's.
Yeah. Yeah. We dropped
Yeah, Mount Joy played this like really New Year's.
It felt really out of place.
Yeah. All
August.
Zion popped off.
Yeah.
at some point. Yeah.
2024.
There was a ball that dropped in the background. It was really strange.
I want to ask. I made a little game for us to play here.
Wait, I don't know about this.
Yeah. Well, I told you about it earlier. I think.
Okay.
Johnson song.
Oh yes, yes.
The Johnson phenomenon.
Yes.
We come up, something we do on our podcast is coming up with like slang words that don't exist.
Yes.
Which is kind of one that you guys have innovated, the Johnson.
Sure.
Can you tell me about what that word means? And then we're gonna play Name That Johnson.
Oh, I love
and there's
that.
no dicks in it.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a little bit disappointing. Yeah, Johnson was like, I don't know who came up with it. It might have been Satiri, but like basically, you know, I don't know. You spend so much time in a van, like as a band, like just on car rides being absolute lunatics, like 3 hours in playing dumb games and whatever, you develop your own language sort of thing. So we call everything like a Johnson. Like for example, like the front 12 rows of last night's show was a Johnson. Like, and that's like happening in our little ear system. Someone's like, oh, this dude's a Johnson. You know, like things just like that. And it just like, you know, but like, I don't know, if a show gets canceled, it'd be like, oh, that's a Johnson.
So it's like a bummer.
Bummer, but like, yeah, pretty much. But it could be like,
But I feel like that song's not a bummer.
no, because you could be like, can you pass me that Johnson?
I've heard that.
Yeah,
I haven't
like,
heard.
okay.
Like,
yeah.
you could like we go far and wide with it. Like it's just this word that's somehow stuck. But the thing is like, genuinely with Johnson, this is a true story. Like the whole point of it was like, of course, tongue in cheek and like creating this goofy song, like kind of for the band and for the purpose of the inside joke, really, to have a moment. But like the point of it for us was like, hey, like stay where you are, dance in the moment, because you never know when like the next show is just going to get canceled. So like dance away because of Johnson is coming down the pipe. Which,
Like a bummer, like something bad. Yeah.
coming down the pipe, insane. Like you cannot get away from the innuendos. and so we were recording the song, and we were our producer Caleb came to Philly. He was like laying down the lyrics, everything, but like and he like wheels around and he's like, is this song about dicks? He's like, I had never even considered, and I'm the most like innuendo jokes guy, but I'd never even considered dance away because of Johnson is coming. He's the most like obvious.
You're about to get like attacked.
Dude, you're about to get like cummed on, I guess. I literally was
like,
like,
it's doing what?
yeah. And you have to like dance away from it. 'Cause it's like, brutal. Honestly,
He walks in the middle of the song. He's like, "What the hell are you guys doing in here?"
Yeah, not.
A Johnson's coming. What don't you get?
Yeah, and in my head, I'm like, oh, like the security's not going to show up for the show. Like it's going to be a Johnson.
Yeah.
The food's gonna be stale.
Yeah.
Backstage.
And you know, of course, like our producer's like outside of the joke is like, I don't know, man. I don't know if that works. Like I don't know if you can just do that. You know, like, and honestly, like crossed my mind. Like, you know, he actually Caleb's awesome, and he would go with anything. But like, I don't know about anything. But went home that night and was like, might have to like can the Johnson song. That's pretty gnarly. Like that's a terrible lyric by me. I'm really sorry.
I didn't even think about that.
Kind of like shelved it for a second, and then I was like, I don't know. You're like a few days later, I was like, I don't know. We're like a weird rock band. Like, well, who cares? Like, let's just lean into it. So yeah, we try like live to lean into this weird dick joke of a song.
You have to now preface it though live.
Yeah. I mean, I just want people to know I'm like, it's, you know, I don't want like some like, I don't know, some like last night there's
Some
like
Hollywood elite.
yeah, like yeah, like just like middle-aged woman just sitting there like, what the hell is he doing?
How did you preface it last night? Did you say something?
I think I usually say, like, I have like a bit where I'll just be like, hey, well, there's like a short version of which is like, hey guys, this song is accidentally about dicks, so I'm sorry, it's time to get weird or something like that. Or sometimes I'll like tell the story I just told if the audience isn't like actively eating steak.
Are you ever like, this song is 100% about penises? Like,
Yeah.
let's jam out.
Pretty much. People have like leaned into it in funny ways. Like someone's band like sent a video of them covering it at like a bar and they had dildos on their heads. And I was like, damn, I don't know if I can go there, but
I've created a month.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love it,
That's going to be like people wearing them to shows now. And stuff.
dude. I'm into it.
All right, we're going to play Name That Johnson. I slacked all right, don't look at the screen right now because it might all pop up when we pop it up. I've got like 6 Johnsons.
Good for you, dude.
And then yeah, it can be a lot, but you know, people tend to. You looked at all of them.
Oh shoot!
All right, so just click on the first one, and then I think you can just scroll through them.
To be honest, I genuinely, for people watching, I did not take in any of that. I looked at a screen. There was a man.
Okay, yeah, that is all right. Yeah, and then I think you can just scroll through them. All right, ready? First Johnson.
I look now.
You can look now. Yeah.
All right. Oh, this is Lyndon B. Johnson.
Bang.
Well done.
Yep.
Oh, this is the greatest wide receivers of all time. Calvin Johnson.
There you go.
Randy Johnson.
Yeah.
Randy Johnson's an all-time name. I honestly, if I could switch names with anyone, you know how much more famous I would be if my name was Randy Johnson.
I almost put Randy Jackson in this one. I had him in there, and then I was like, oh, no, that's not what I was thinking of. All right, next one.
This guy, baseball players have the ability to look like the most regular ass dude.
That guy changes mufflers when he's not.
I don't know if I know this one.
Former Mets third baseman Howard Johnson.
Howard Johnson.
Yeah.
Good for him. Damn, this is getting specifically Metsy for a Phillies fan. This dude, don't know who it is, but he is like a sunscreen ad.
That is former Mets second baseman Kelly Johnson.
I do remember Kelly Johnson, actually.
Yep.
It's just all Mets guys. Damn, look at that mustache.
1986 World Series champion manager Davey Johnson.
Davey Johnson. I remember the name. Did he like keep coaching for a while, maybe?
Yeah, I think he actually maybe coached the Phils or played for them or something at some
Good
point.
for him.
Yeah. So that was the Johnson game.
Dude, incredible.
Thought it'd be fun if
Name
the
that
last 3 were all
Johnson,
obscure Mets.
Yeah, you really got me, dude.
Got your ass.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
Like that. What's he wearing under his shirt? Can we go back to that guy?
What do you mean?
Some sort of latex
it's like-
long sleeve shirt.
Like he just came out of like a COVID lab or something.
Yeah.
Like he was like, it's like a hazmat suit.
Yeah, he had to throw on his jersey over his hazmat suit.
It was,
Sick.
it was
It's like
a
the thing they give to
last-minute photo.
husbands when like their wife's giving birth.
Yeah.
Like, the, like giant blue smock or whatever.
Yeah.
Good for him.
It's very, yeah. So anyway, that was our Johnson game.
Thank you, dude. Great game.
I had this idea that I didn't ever flesh out, but it was going to be,
Let's go.
we're going to be like, I dug up all the original lyrics to your songs. And the only one I did before I scrapped this was, if it's the bugs, the critters, the mites, the fleas. that's just in my notes app. So
Honestly, you've got a future, you know, I think.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
People save a gift. Go ahead.
I thought I was kind of hesitant to bring this up, but I feel like we should. You were talking about Zach Bryan.
Oh boy.
We have beef with Zach Bryan.
I know. We might need to lean on you to kind of bridge this gap. I posted a video of me singing a song on my Instagram, and he thought I was making fun of him. And he blocked me on Instagram and us as a podcast. He used to follow our podcast.
Yeah,
and then
he
he blocked me.
Wow.
Yeah. So next time you see him,
I don't know. Like,
we're sorry.
all right. If I see him, I'll tell him you're sorry. I feel like, though, he... I don't know. We opened for him in...
Is it bad if I know?
Oakland. Oakland.
No, I saw that was a sick show.
It was awesome. I think it was his first like stadium show, which was insane to see. It was like obviously great show, like the coolest, biggest video wall I've ever seen in my life. But I don't really know him. I've only met him very, very briefly. He lived in Philly for a period of time.
Oh yeah.
I hope he's still an Eagles fan. But yeah, I mean, don't know what to tell you.
That's okay.
I don't know if he's my friend either. If it makes you feel any better.
That does make me feel a little
like
bit
I don't know.
because then by association I'd be like a little pissed at you.
I think there's like a 50% chance that he doesn't know who I am, despite.
Got it. Well, I guess he knows who we are now.
There we go.
In a bad way.
Who's the best like band or person that you've opened for? Like, what was the best experience?
The best band we've opened for, best experience. That's a good question. We've opened for a lot of. Everyone's always been like super nice to us. I feel like, this is a tough one. I feel like at the time, like we talked about RKS to start, that was like probably the most like helpful for our career. I feel like,
Yeah.
And they're awesome, super super nice people. I just like honestly like opening for him was awesome too, but just like the Ark of Noah as well. Ark of Noah, dude. Dude,
You're on top of it today.
hopefully he sees that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna text him and tell him that he needs to incorporate Ark into his stuff. But yeah, like he became a friend like during the sort of, I don't know, like 2018, we did a show together, and then during COVID he came to Philly. We had like a barn, we were making music. He stayed for a little bit and was like, you know, at that time I think he had played like a couple of the songs that ended up being on the 6th Season record, and like, but he was doing well for sure, but that record hadn't come out yet, and sort of like obviously that changed his whole thing. And like I think just being, it's cool to like watch a friend or like someone you're going through a very similar like I guess life with, and then like watch like the absolute mega ball like come down like for that person. It's like it's been really really cool. So like getting to play Femi with him and like being on that stage with him and kind of like looking out, and like I just so like that fills me with pride. So that part of it has been really cool, because I don't know, like he's gotten to a level that like I didn't think was possible. So it's like inspiring. And just
when he's playing those songs that like haven't come out yet but are clearly hits, is everyone looking around being like, this is gonna be massive when it comes out, or is it like also kind of a surprise?
I like his music, so like I was certainly like, oh, this is sick, like, you know, like but like I said, I didn't know that was possible. Like I didn't know that it was, you know, like I don't know, no one that I had ever been around, like, and I hadn't been like in the game that long too, so take that for what it's worth, but like I hadn't seen anyone like be able to turn great songs even into that. So like I definitely like wasn't sitting there, and neither was he for what it's worth. Yeah. Like sitting there thinking that I forget the song that he was playing there. We make this podcast
The Great Divide.
Way more.
How do you know all of this?
I think that's it. The Great Divide or Pain is Cold Water, or one of those.
Or like,
I love that guy.
Or She Calls Me Back, maybe, or something like that.
Oh, I think like a new one.
Oh no! This was like 20. I forget what it was, and sorry, no, but I remember like thinking it was good. I remember thinking it was good, but yeah, you don't know, and even like I would say that anyone who, like, I think about that all the time with like all time great songs. Like I'll have that, you know, I'll hear a song and be like, were the Beatles just like, hell yeah. But I don't think they were. I think it's like humans are so filled with insecurity and imposter syndrome that it's pretty difficult to like make something that has the type of impact that you know those Noah and those types of bands have had. And like you'd have to be such a douchebag to be like, this is for sure going hella viral. I don't know. I mean maybe he had that deep down, some belief, but I think that's what's so cool about it, is that like there is this sort of like, you know, magical run that ends up happening to get you to those places. So that's been really cool to like to be a part of that a little bit.
I feel like this is as a musician, this has got to be one of the strangest times to be like alive, because your song can just like overnight reach so many people.
Kind of what happened with Astrovan?
A little bit, but you know what's interesting is like Astrovan was 2016. So what happened with Astrovan was the sort of like viralness of it was that it ended up in the sort of like Spotify, got on a playlist. And then from there, you know, the way the Spotify playlist at least used to work, I assume it's still like this, but like you get in a playlist, and you know, Spotify is just this massive data company, right? They have all these songs. And so they're looking at how long do people listen within the playlist, how long do people listen to the song, what's the skip rate, what's the share rate, like are people sharing the song. So they have like their own metrics for a song going viral within their system, and Astrovan started doing that. I think just because it's such a goofy song, like people were probably just like, you know, tipping the algorithm for us, being like, listen to this stupid song, like, you know, sending it to their friends, doing all the things that you interact with. And now, of course, social media is very much built upon the same, and it probably was then too, but it went viral within Spotify, and that gave us a certain amount of momentum, which allowed us to go out. But I think now you fast forward to like now, and specifically remembering like Noah's situation, I remember him being like he was so smart, like he was like, even at the barn, like he was doing stuff like on TikTok and stuff. And it was sort of this thing where I was like, damn, like, what the hell is he doing? Like, what an idiot. Yeah. But, of course, he's, like, laying the groundwork for, like, that was the next Spotify playlisting thing, right? But with way bigger ceiling. And it's really interesting to see, like, you know, I think, like, take 2016 and then 2022 or whatever that was when, yeah. And it's just a different paradigm, but it has this, like, enormous ceiling, and obviously TikTok and Reels and everything have just completely exploded. But I feel like now if you're like aiming for that, like you're probably a little late. Like there's going to be something else. Like of course people are still going viral on TikTok, but it's not the like fresh fertile ground of like that it once was. I feel like it's a little harder now, and of course something else will come along. And I feel like our lifetime as creatives or whatever is really just about like finding the marketing whatever moment that is, and like just getting in at the right time, as with any business thing. But it's cool to see how it changes, and like the things that you thought were stupid. Like I thought TikTok was so stupid. I'm not gonna lie. Like I still do, to be completely honest with you.
I don't think either of us would be here, so let's be careful.
No.
No,
I think it's just a thing where it's like I'm actually trying to, like, not stupid in the sense that it's done incredible things for people, including my friends, and like I think that its ability to like move information is the greatest of all mankind. Like we've never had anything like that. And I'm actually just coming from this place of like, it's TikTok, it's Instagram, it's all that stuff for me, where it's like I'm getting to this place where like I think as an artist, for me it's like I only have so much space in my brain, and I need to divest from that stuff as much as possible. Meanwhile, the entire industry is like, you need to do this way more, and I'm like, I want to do it way less. So it is this sort of like push and pull for me. But like I just think like ultimately these are amazing tools, I guess, but it's interesting to look at like how much it's changed since we started to where it is now, and then like I think the wisdom is like it's gonna change again. Like, you know, your manager's like pushing you to do something, it's like, well, we're probably late to this a little bit. Like I don't know what the new thing is, but I don't know, maybe you guys are starting it.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. But is that something that's like, yeah, is it for, like you'll be told like, Matt, we need like a TikTok?
Totally. Well, you know, it's like honestly, like our management's great and stuff, but it's like, I think it's more like, you know, I love making music. Like I've made music for so long. Someone said it really well. It's like the thing that I love the most is like you make a song and you just like, you feel like it's really good and you just want to show your friends. Like, and I've always had this thing like, I forget who I wish I could attribute this, but songwriting wisdom was like, just make songs that you think your friends will think is cool. Like, and if you do that, you'll be successful, because ultimately it'll come from a place where that's like, you know, that's honest within you. That's not like, oh, I know that Zach Bryan fans would dig this, but I don't know. Like, I know Zach Bryan fans, but I don't know that person, right? That's a person that's like one separation degrees away from me, rather than like my homies, like the people that like we share stuff we like, it's like that means I'm gonna hit directly from me to something else, you know, which is more powerful than trying to make something because it's popular or because it's like you know. And so I guess what I'm saying there is that like, therefore once I do that and I like share with my friends, like I feel like the whole project's cooked. I'm like, oh sick, it went well. But then there's this whole like, now we've got to reach Japan, you know. It's like, oh shit, like, you know, that part of
there's
it,
like one Japanese song on the next album. This doesn't really make
By the way, we've never been to Japan and clearly have not reached it, so I think our management would be like, you've never reached Japan. But I think that's the point, is that like I really truly love playing music. I don't know if I like truly love marketing music.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I guess there's more demand obviously to do that now, but I guess on the other side of that, it's like more of a meritocracy, right? Where like in theory I could go home and record myself playing a song and put it on TikTok.
Yeah.
And that could be the start of a career kind of thing.
I mean, I'm flip-flopping so hard. TikTok is incredible in that sense. Like, I think that, like, what it can do for not just artists, but, like, anyone, just from a getting something out there perspective is, like, it's unbelievable. I think, like, to see how many people, though, like, now are hustling that is where I'm just sort of like, damn. You know, it's, like, it's this, like, infinitely long subway station of artists just like you know, like, look at me with their hat out, you know.
It also feels like they're like some people make songs that's like built around 15 seconds of the song is like this will be something, and then we can like figure out the rest of the song later.
I mean, for better or worse, like, because I actually as we talked about on this, like, I have such a short attention span. I think TikTok, Reels, whatever else I'm missing. Have like genuinely punched up every piece of content with music, film, whatever, in a way where it's like, if you listen to music from like the 60s and 70s, it's like Bob Dylan's on like verse 5. He's like 6 minutes in, he's like, and also, like, you know, like, and it hits, you know, but like those songs, like, he straight up, this is maybe a controversial thing. I mean, I'm sure he'd adapt. He's a genius. Like, I don't know that would work at all. Like, I think it would be like super niche, and some people would dig it, but you have to, like, it's changed the way songs are written for sure. Like 100%. You know, like, you'll send. I mean, we think about it this way. It's like, has anyone ever, like, in the history of 2024, like, really sat with something for like 5 minutes, like, especially like, you know, like a video content. I not to get political, but like I was watching, like, you know, Biden has this huge moment. He's about to resign from the race or whatever, and he does an 11-minute video. And I just like had this conversation about this topic where I was like, it's not even political. I was just like, if I were advising anyone for like a hard hitting piece of like video, like continuous video content, I'd be like, that's supposed to like hit the whole world and get your message across. 11 minutes is like 9 minutes too long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, in today's day and age, it's just like, it shows that, like, I feel like maybe in that moment there wasn't like a young enough person to be like, what website we putting this on? Like, you know, like, I guess this is YouTube long form, but like, you know, like, that doesn't work in any of the other spaces. So it's really changed the way, like, I think artists make songs for sure. Like, there's even in the like, going backwards, there's a Richie Mitch and the Coal Miners.
Was it the one that you did with Camp, right?
Yeah. Dude, those guys are amazing, and that story is incredible because it's a song that was like 1 minute and 15 seconds long, right, or something like that. Something like that. But like, and it's incredible. It existed, I think, around like 2016 or something like that. 2017 is where they put it out. But it's like, it even retrospectively, it was like put out at the wrong time. And then once this movement that we're talking about, where things have really condensed down, it's like that song goes mega viral. I think TikTok and everything else, and like has this. It's a platinum record that sat there for 7 years because maybe the paradigm that existed then doesn't work as well now. And to see that is like, that's such evidence of like, you can now make a song that is 1 minute and 15 seconds long. I mean, as a songwriter, that's like verse, intro, verse, chorus, and we're out. Like, yeah, it's bizarre to me, but it's like, that's kind of all you really need in terms of like what people are going to ultimately hear. And it's cool to see how that stuff has affected everything, like whether it's politics, music, whatever. It's like this whole political campaign, it's like, you really just want to go out there, regardless of who you are, and get a soundbite. We need 10 seconds. Talk for an hour. We'll take the best 10 seconds.
Yep.
I mean, hopefully that's what we're doing, right?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it is literally like how we grew this podcast.
Yeah.
Just the clips, right?
Yeah.
Eventually you get, but like the amount of people that listen to the full length episodes compared to the social clips is, I mean, mind-blowingly different.
That's why I dissed TikTok, because I know we can just...
Yeah.
Love TikTok.
No, that totally makes sense. I want to ask about the like covers that you work into your sets. I feel like you do a lot of really fun. Last night the coolest one that I've seen you do is "Good Feeling."
Yeah,
they did, like Flo Rida.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
We did. So honestly, like I think I was saying before, but we have the song Julia, and a good while ago, we got the idea. We wanted to do covers, but like, you know, we've just toured so much that we've sort of optimized things to our own liking, where it's like doing covers. We very rarely do a cover like wire to wire, like start a song and do it, and in part because the conversation we were just having, like when we do it, you'll get to like, even like occasionally we do Dreams, the full song, and like we'll get to the second verse and you realize like nobody knows the second verse of this song. Like and it's so electric when you capture like the moment that people really have lived in and like really know in their soul, you know, like that's what you want to bring that out of people. So we realized like we can just medley our songs, try to like tell a story a little bit, like try to be a little bit creative about it, and just hit the 10-second segment of the song or whatever it is, or the chorus, or that we really love and connect with, and then just find a way to change keys and get back into our song or whatever it is, without having to like really stop and be like, you know, whatever. So we started doing that with Julia, and we started with Ain't No Sunshine just because I don't know why, but it made sense at the time in our heads, and it just kind of kept growing, and it became a moment for Jackie, who, you know, she would shred over that, and then we realized like, oh, we can just keep adding. So I think at some point added like Gorillaz, Clint Eastwood into it, and long story very short, we just ride around. Like I exist in the world, and I'll like hear a song and I'd be like, you know, like that could maybe work. And we did You're So Vain last night into Avicii Levels. But, you know, he takes the little sample of like, oh, sometimes.
Oh, you're right. Okay, yeah, I guess it was. Yeah.
But to your point, it's like, for us, it's just this like, I was literally watching probably on, I don't even remember, on TikTok. I was literally watching, and like it was like a Avicii like Lollapalooza, and it was just electric. Like I was like, oh man, that'd be cool to like go into, just because Jackie also her like favorite genre is like EDM, so it's like you're also trying to like find something that is in her wheelhouse. And yeah, but like I don't know, we'll go back out in the fall and we'll change it up. We'll try something else, but it's one of my favorite parts of the job now. It's just like I got into this because I love music. I love listening to music. There's like, I'm one of those dudes that like is super boring. People are like, what's your favorite music? Like I think it's like inherently lame to be like super siloed in your music. Like I listen to hyper pop music. I love like Christina Aguilera. Like I'll go deep with 90s pop. I'll go deep with jam music, jazz, everything. But like, therefore I can just like listen to music as a fan still, which is like the part that I feel like I've lost the most doing this as a job. Is you're like, sometimes you'll hear a song by like a contemporary, be like, damn, that's better than our, right? Which is like such the long way to exist in such a important, like it's music's such an important part of like my happiness, that like I needed a way to just listen to music, be like, oh, we'll just use it. We'll just, if you can't beat them, join them. Kind of thing.
It must be strange, like becoming friends with a lot of other musicians, because it's like now you're listening to your buddy's music instead of like listening to it as a fan.
Oh, totally.
It's strange.
I mean, that's what I was trying to explain with Noah. Like, I just like, it's just so cool. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I mean, you guys are successful dudes. You probably have a little bit of pride for each other. Like, it is cool. Like, it's like something I never envisioned in my life, to like have friends be like wildly successful at what they were attempting to do. It's a cool thing.
Yeah. I mean, now we can say the same about Mountjoy.
I hope so. Thanks to you guys.
Wait, I just meant that we're friends now. Not that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Hell yeah. Well, we are friends.
Okay, good. All right.
You guys didn't make fun of my crazy drink, so that was an immediate check.
I was curious what it was.
Yeah, it's.
What do you got in there?
It's looking worse and worse with time. But it's some sort of smoothie. I panicked right before I came in here. I actually wanted a water, and I walked in. I'm not sure this place sells water.
I think they do.
Yeah, which is an interesting choice.
Yeah.
For a thirsty person.
Well, I think because then you come back and get more or something, right?
That's
Keep you
true.
thirsty.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back there. It is delicious. What is it? Creation.
Mm-hmm. Shout out creation.
Shout out creation.
Shout out creation.
Very cool. Well, I think that's all.
Yeah.
I got. You got anything else, Lauren? What's your favorite Mountjoy song?
Oh God, panicking. Bathroom Light, probably.
It's a good one. I like
Banger.
playing that one. I really do.
What did Creed say to you last night about bathroom?
Oh, I said this to you earlier. Yeah, Creed leans over and he's like, or you said like, this song's about falling in love in the bathroom, and he goes, I've done that before with cocaine.
Should have had him on. He's so funny, man.
Well, I should have used the opportunity last night to ask him, but
Yeah.
it's a long-term play.
I feel like he would. He's a good
Yeah, it was just like I played it too cool at the beginning. Like I
Yeah.
didn't tell him that like I knew who he was.
Yeah.
So then, because I was sitting in like I was in one of those like booths. with him.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want to like
so rad. He
impose, but then yeah.
Well, we'll end with he's like for people to go check out. He's also like a super accomplished musician.
Yeah.
He had like a #1 single, right?
Yeah, he like his start of his career was like being in a like in a pretty rad era of music. Like his band from LA, the Grassroots, like had a successful run, and then
So sick.
he lived like this other life later in life as like a funny guy on a legendary sitcom. So
Yeah, he was a man. He'll be on here soon.
yeah,
Yeah.
hell yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Matt. Anything you
guys.
want to plug or
Fiserv Forum, baby.
shout out Fiserv.
It's a great venue.
Awesome.
No,
New music coming some point.
Yeah, new music probably within, I don't know, maybe early next year. So
Nice.
yeah.
All right. Excited to hear it. Yeah. Thank you again.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome.